Hello YouTube and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of COMMCast. I'm your host, Alexandra Huerta. COMMCast is a production of the Longwood University Communication Studies Department and COM 434 CommLab. It's a show where we get to know members of the Longwood and Farmville communities. In today's show, let's get to know Cameron Patterson. So sorry. So Cameron Patterson, you've been here technically for 15 years, first as a student, now you're working here. How do you feel?
I think when I came to Longwood in 2005 as a first year student, I never thought I would stick around after I graduated. You know, for me, I had these grand visions of wanting to run to the big city, wherever that may be, but have been very thankful to have made a home here in the community.
You've had a lot of hats here, starting as a student, then going to student affairs, executive of Moten, and now vice president of student affairs. How's that journey been for you?
You know, when I was fortunate enough to have been named interim VP for student affairs in June of 22, it was a surreal experience for me to sit across from Dr. Tim Pearson. He's someone that I consider a mentor. He was my advisor when I was in student government as a student. And so to be in a place where I was succeeding him after such a long and accomplished tenure, it was certainly very humbling. And, you know, I've always been of the mindset that, you know, Longwood's a place I love. And so any way that I can help serve the alma mater, I'm definitely up for it.
So what is student affairs and how does that connect with the students?
So that's a great question. Student affairs is a division of offices and units that support the co-curricular needs of our students in the community. So we have 4 units, police and public safety, which is headed by our new chief of police, Angela Comer. We have our dean of students unit, led by our Dean of Students and Associate VP for Student Affairs, Jen Fraley. We have our Student Engagement Unit, so all of the offices in Upchurch, headed by our Associate VP for Student Engagement and Initiatives, Cheryl Steele. And then we have our Wellbeing and Health Unit over in Pearson Hall, headed by Dr. Maureen Walls-McKay, our Associate VP for Health and Wellbeing. So offices that support the co-curricular needs of students. And, you know, our goal is to help students take the things that you've learned in the classroom and apply it with, you know, some real practical application, whether it be through your student groups, whether it be through service to the community. So it's a really fun job.
So Farmville has a lot of history here, and as I mentioned, you were executive director at Moten Museum. How was your time there, and how has that taught you a lot more about the history of Farmville?
Definitely. You know, I was very fortunate as a student. I had 2 experiences that really connected me to the history of this community. The first was being a history major. I had an opportunity to take a Prince Edward Civil Rights History course with Dr. Larissa Smith, our provost and professor of history. I also had the opportunity to take a state and local government class, which at the time was taught by a gentleman named Lacey Ward, who was our first executive director at Moten. So those 2 experiences grounded me in my understanding of this history. But when I look back, the history has kind of been around me all my life. My best friend back in Lynchburg, her name's Edwina Berryman. We became close friends when we worked together as summer college students. Her parents were 2 individuals impacted by the Prince Edward school closings. And I didn't know that until I started working at Moten, and I would see them show up to volunteer at different museum events. So the history's been around me all this time, but thankful that Longwood was the connecting point.
So even though Farmville is it's a very united community, and there's a lot of opportunities for volunteering and engagement. Could you tell me some of the opportunities for volunteering for whether students or just people in the community?
So, one of the good things about Longwood, I think it's good. Some might not think it's so good from time to time, but I think we do a good job of kind of creating chronic volunteers or chronically engaged individuals, whether it be through classroom activities, through your clubs and orgs, through your service, etc. And so the opportunity to continue that in the community is definitely something that will be afforded to you wherever you might choose to reside. For me here in Farmville, that opportunity first presented itself through some of the civic organizations that we have in our community. So I got involved with the Farmville JCs, got involved with the Rotary Club of Farmville. We have our Farmville Lions Club. So there are different groups that, based on your interests, you could certainly get and be connected with. For me, I now, as I've gotten older, enjoy being involved with causes that are near and dear. So I volunteer with the Virginia Children's Book Festival, volunteer with a few statewide organizations that focus on different children and family related issues. But Farmville's a place where you can get connected. It's not too small of a community where you can find your place pretty easily here.
So here at Longwood, we have a Student Government Association, or SGA.
Yep.
What should that mean to students, and how should they get involved?
I would say SGA, it is an opportunity and an outlet for students to collectively think through with their peers about ways that they can improve the Longwood community, the local community, and even think through issues that might not be specific to just Farmville or Longwood. So, it really is an opportunity where you can use your voice to elevate the things that you're passionate about. And, for me, SGA as a student was an experience that gave me a lot of opportunities to lead in different ways. It challenged me, kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone. And, I owe a lot to the experiences I had with SGA and other activities.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for all your
Thank
wisdom.
you.
And before we wrap things up, we have a segment on our show called Fast Questions,
Yeah.
where I'm going to ask you something and you just say the first thing on your mind.
Excellent, excellent.
So we're going to start with that. So what is your favorite restaurant in town?
My favorite restaurant, Walker's Diner.
Mm-hmm. So for your next one, what is your favorite Farmville memory?
My favorite Farmville memory, I would say it is, a couple of different things kind of come to mind. I would say the first thing is, as an undergraduate student, when I joined my fraternity, Theta Chi, and then also when I joined Alpha Phi Omega, the service fraternity here. So those were two great collegiate experiences. Post-collegiate, I would say, certainly being involved with boating. And then the VP debate here at Longwood was such a fascinating experience.
So for our final question, what is your favorite Longwood tradition?
I would say our secret societies, Chi, Cahoots, Princeps.
Awesome. Well, thank you to Cam for joining us today, and thank you to everyone for watching and everyone behind the scenes. I'm your host, Alexandra Huerta. Tune in next Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. for another edition of COMMCast.